How many of you have ever felt afraid for any reason at all? I know I have. And through my experiences, I've discovered a few things about this whole topic of fear that have really opened up my life. One of them is that fear wears many faces. For instance, there's the fear of the storms of life. That's when a phone call comes and changes our lives just in an instant. We've seen that happen in our own nation this spring as the floods have come through Manitoba and as the town of Slave Lake burned down, where people have lost their livelihood just in a matter of hours. Then there's the fear of growing old and the related health issues, all the leaks and the creaks that go along with that. Then we've got the fear of rejection. What if people discovered something about my past that I don't want them to know? Would they really want to have anything to do with me, or would they just cut me off? What would they think of me? Then there's the fear of an unknown future. Several things in that regard. The economy. Maybe a marriage is on the rocks and we don't know what's going to happen with that. Maybe our kids, those of us who are parents, can understand the fear of an unknown future. For our kids who are making unwise choices, we know that some of the things they're choosing to do now could cause them a lot of hurt or pain later on, but there's not a lot that we can do because they won't listen to our wisdom. And then there's the fear of inadequacy/failure. That's the one that I want to address this afternoon, that fear of inadequacy. I'm going to give you several names of people I know you'll recognize, and I'm sure that these people had to deal with that fear as well. Maybe because of thoughts that they had in their own hearts, but also words that were coming from outside sources that would have fed those feelings of inferiority. Michael Jordan was cut from his basketball team when he was in high school. He went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. Walt Disney was told he had no creative imagination, he may as well get a real job. Lucille Ball was told that she had no talent for acting. Well, I'm not Michael Jordan, I'm not Lucille Ball, and I'm not Walt Disney, but I'm a writer. And I've had fears of my own in that regard as far as the fear of inadequacy. You see, way back in 1979 was when I first dared to write in my journal that someday I wanted to write. That was my dream. That over time became my passion. I had no idea what that would look like, but I felt one thing on the inside, and that was, I'd love to do it, but I don't think I can. Where did those feelings come from? Well, I had to figure that out. I had a belief system about myself. I had to discover where those feelings of inadequacy and the fear of failure actually grew their roots from. A lot of it came from maybe well-meaning adults in my life when I was a child growing up, where they would make comments about my abilities or my inabilities, and those little comments, as small as they were at the time and as innocent as they were meant to be, stuck to my heart like Velcro. So when I grew into adulthood, those comments were still there. So when I felt like I needed to write a book, or I wanted to write a book, there were those nagging thoughts of, I can't really do that. I'm not good enough. What if I try and I fail? Then people will know for sure that I'm not good enough, so maybe it's better to not try at all. People, I want to tell you that it's not worth listening to. Those kinds of voices of inadequacy and failure are not worth listening to. No matter what your dream or your passion is, you want to move forward. Acknowledge the fear. I had to do that. I had to admit to somebody I trusted that I was afraid of failure. That was healing, and it was a relief in itself just to finally acknowledge it to somebody and not try to keep it inside anymore. To identify where my belief system about my abilities came from, to understand that they came from comments that other people made and that I allowed myself to believe. Then I needed to undo that belief system by retraining my thoughts and saying, I can do this. I can do this just as much as anybody else can succeed. I can too. And then I had to put one foot in front of the other, face my fear and start moving forward, doing the research, doing the interviews, approaching a publisher, getting that contract, and finally writing the book. If I can do it, anybody can. I don't know what your dreams and passions are today, but I want to encourage you to pursue them. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Let's not let that hinder us from pursuing our passions.